Before diving into this fascinating story, be sure to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because here, every video is a deep dive into what time tries to hide. Now then, let's begin. Have you ever stopped to think that there are watches that measure time and others that challenge it? Most people buy a watch so they won't be late, but there are those who buy one to never be the same again. It's curious, isn't it? We live running against time, trying to beat it, while a few have learned to make peace with it. A Patek Philippe isn't about punctuality. It's about eternity. When you see one of these watches, you realize it doesn't try to be modern. It's already timeless. Each model is a silent declaration that true luxury doesn't need haste or approval. And perhaps that's the greatest paradox. While the world rushes to have more, those who wear a Patek Philippe have learned the secret of be more because time passes, but the legacy, that remains. So before we continue, think, what is truly valuable to you? The time you have, or what you do with it? Because by the end of this video, you might discover that there's something that even time can't buy. The clock that time cannot buy. There are things in life that money can buy, but time, that invisible tyrant, never gives back. And it is precisely in this paradox that the charm of a Patek Philippe is born. It is not just a watch. It is a silent provocation to time itself. While others mark the hours, it transcends them. A man who wears a Patek is not just adjusting his wrist. He is declaring to the world that he understands the value of something that time cannot measure. Think about it. Time is the only asset that everyone possesses in equal amounts, but few know how to manage. Patek Philippe doesn't sell minutes. It sells the feeling that every second has a purpose. It's as if the watch says, without words, that true luxury lies not in being in a hurry, but in knowing how to wait. Thus, whoever wears it doesn't display wealth. They display mastery. Mastery over oneself, over rhythm, over what truly matters. It's curious how time, which consumes everything, seems to respect a Patek. It ages without losing its soul, like a rare wine or an ancient symphony. And perhaps that's why those who see a Patek Philippe for the first time feel something strange. It's not admiration, it's reverence. A reverence that makes one wonder, how can something so small contain such eternity? The origin of eternity. The legacy of Patek Philippe. The story of Patek Philippe begins in 1839, when two visionaries, Antoine Patek and Adrien Philippe, decided that time deserved more than just to be counted. It should be worshipped. While the world industrialized the watch, they transformed it into art. It was in a small workshop in Geneva that the philosophy that resonates to this day was born. You never truly own a Patek Philippe. You only keep it for the next generation. A phrase that sums up what money buys and what time consecrates. This mentality is what elevated the brand above others. Patek Philippe wasn't competing with other watchmakers, but with the very concept of mortality. Each piece created was an attempt to eternalize moments, to immortalize the passage of time in gears that seemed to defy death. It's curious to think that, while other brands were concerned with design and fashion, they were concerned with legacy. And that's why a Patek doesn't age. It only matures. Just as a painter leaves their soul in every brushstroke, Patek Philippe has left a part of its history in every movement of its winding mechanism. Owning one of these watches is like carrying a fragment of the 19th century on your wrist, still alive, still pulsating. It's more than an object, it's an echo of the past that continues to teach the present. And it is at this point that its true value begins to reveal itself. The art of the unattainable, value beyond price. To speak of the price of a Patek Philippe is almost an insult to its essence. Not because it is expensive, but because it represents something that money, by itself, can never buy. Permanence. The true value lies in the unseen, in the history it carries, in the patience of the master watchmakers who spend years perfecting each piece, and in the philosophy that luxury is not ostentation, it is silent refinement. A Patek doesn't shout status, it whispers greatness. It's curious how humans pursue the unattainable. Some buy fast cars, yachts, mansions. But the man who chooses a Patek isn't looking to impress, he's looking for belong to a lineage of minds that understand the meaning of time. He knows that there is a kind of wealth that is not measured in figures, but in meaning. It's the same difference between having a house and having a home, between owning something expensive and something eternal. Perhaps that's why a Patek Philippe is so coveted, not for what it displays, but for what it represents. Each model carries an aura of introspection, as if saying to its owner, "You understand." And understanding that is a rare, almost spiritual privilege. After all, how can you measure the price of something that time cannot depreciate? Perhaps the answer lies in what this watch awakens, and not in what it costs. The symbol of heritage, a clock that passes but never grows old. A Patek Philippe isn't bought, it's inherited. It carries the weight and beauty of a history spanning generations, like a silent jewel, witnessing life go by. It's the kind of object a grandfather gives to his grandson, not as a gift, but as continuation. Each scratch on the case, each discreet mark on the leather, is a reminder of time lived, not lost. It's as if the watch is saying, "I saw where you're going." In a world where everything is disposable, a Patek Philippe is resistance. It represents the opposite of haste, the victory of permanence over the ephemeral. The man who transmits it understands that he is passing on more than metal and gears. He is transmitting history, principles, and the very DNA of the family. It's no wonder that so many collectors report feeling emotional when they hear the ticking of an old model. It's the sound of the past still pulsing. And when a son receives a Patek from his father, he doesn't just receive a watch, he receives an invitation to honor the past and build a future worthy of what he wears on his wrist. This is the kind of legacy that transforms luxury into something spiritual. But what's most fascinating is that, within this silent inheritance, there's something even deeper, something that transcends the metal and the name. Time as a masterpiece. When the machine becomes soul, there's a magical moment when a Patek Philippe ceases to be a watch and becomes a living work of art. Inside, hundreds of gears move in perfect harmony, as if each one were aware of its own purpose. It's the pinnacle of Swiss engineering, but also a poetic reminder. Time, when treated with respect, becomes, until that's what differentiates the ordinary from the extraordinary. The intention behind every detail. The most curious thing is that, when observing a Patek in operation, one sees not only precision, but also mechanical emotion. Each beat is like a heart beating inside a golden box. There's something almost human there. Discipline, rhythm, constancy. And perhaps that's what makes it so fascinating. It mirrors the soul of the wearer. Those who live with purpose, with inner order and elegance, understand what this watch represents. Ultimately, Patek Philippe doesn't manufacture watches. It manufactures symbols of what humankind is capable of creating when it unites patience, perfection, and purpose. It's the encounter between time and eternity, between matter and spirit. And it's at this point that the watch ceases to be merely an object. It becomes witness, but what it testifies to, that depends on who's using it. Ultimately, what a Patek Philippe teaches us isn't about luxury. It's about purpose. He shows that wealth is not about having, but about to understand the value of what one has. And perhaps that's the point that separates those who merely accumulate wealth from those who truly prosper. The clock ticks, time flies, but the legacy? That is only left by those who have learned to transform seconds into meaning. Now tell me, what have you been doing with your time? Are you just living your days or building something that will last beyond them? True fortune begins when you master your time, not the other way around. And if you want to understand the principles that transform time into prosperity, I've prepared something special for you. Click the link in the description and purchase it. Ebook, The Principles for Getting Rich. A practical guide inspired by the minds that have mastered time, money, and destiny. Learn to create wealth from the inside out, using the same principles that shaped empires and changed lives. And of course, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and continue with me on this journey where time ceases to be the enemy and becomes your greatest ally.